Ho ho ho. Yeah, I think by this time next year I might just have a full-on white Santa beard. Could be a new profession for me. But anyway, as you can see from my fantastic decorations, it's Christmas again. It seems like just yesterday it was Christmas last year, right? But whatever you think of Christmas, whether you love it or you hate it, you have to admit that it's quite weird, right? We do weird things at Christmas, like put trees in our living rooms and sing awful songs that we would never usually sing. We watch bad films and we eat food that we don't eat at any other time of the year. But we also use vocabulary. We use words that we only use at this time of the year, and some really quite weird words. So I thought it would be a good idea in this video to introduce you to some of those words, these strange words that we only use at this time of the year. Now unfortunately I'm going to have to use my whiteboard, so I need to take down the decorations, which took me hours to put up. I'll have to do it all again later. And the first word I have for you today is Yuletide. Yuletide. Now this is a very common word we use at Christmas, often on Christmas cards, like Yuletide greetings, for example. But I have a little challenge for you before we continue. I want you to ask your English teacher next time you see them, or maybe a native English speaking friend, what they think Yuletide means. Because I'm sure all of them will know the word Yuletide, but I bet they can't really specifically say what it means, because they'll probably just say it's kind of Christmassy, something to do with Christmas. And it's a word that is made up of two words, Yule and tide. And curiously, Yule is a word, a very old word, to refer to a pagan winter celebration or festival. So we use Yuletide now to refer to Christmas time, Christmas in general, but it's actually a pagan word. So it's not referring to the Christian celebrations. And tide just means like a period of time or a point in time. So Yuletide means this, these celebrations, winter celebrations at this time of year that coincide with Christmas, but it doesn't actually mean Christmas in the sort of Christian way. So test your English teacher with that one and let me know how they do. And the second word I have for you today is quite a modern word, I think. In fact, I think I hadn't heard this word until about this time last year, just 1 year ago, when an English friend of mine sent me a message in WhatsApp asking what I was doing for Twixtmas this year. And I said, what is Twixtmas? And Twixtmas is a very specific word. It's referring to the time between Christmas and New Year. So those few days between Christmas and New Year, when some people work, but there's no school, so it's quite a strange time of the year, isn't it? But we have a very specific word for it. It actually comes originally from betwixt. Betwixt is a very old English word, which means between, basically. So betwixt one thing and another. And of course the Mass is for Christmas, so Twixtmas. Very useful if you're making plans between Christmas and the New Year. And the next strange Christmassy word is carol. Who is Carol, you might be thinking? Who's this woman Carol who always appears at Christmas? Well, in this case, no, Carol is not referring to a woman. Carol is a song that we typically sing at Christmas. So those very famous songs that everyone knows since you're a child, you know these songs. And in England, and I think in other Anglosphere countries, people often in groups go from house to house singing Christmas carols to bring the Yuletide cheer, and often to raise money for charity. Now, actually, the origin of the word carol is from French, and it actually refers to an old dance. I think it's a medieval dance where people used to accompany the dance with singing. But over the years, it's evolved, and now in English, at least, it specifically means a Christmas song.
Tis the season to be jolly, la 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 la.
And the next word for you is eggnog. Eggnog. And again, a very strange word, right? Eggnog. Egg, you know what it is, but nog? Actually, nobody knows, from my research at least, why we use nog in this word. But egg is relevant to the meaning of the word. And eggnog is a very particular drink that we only drink at Christmas. And when I tell you the ingredients, you can probably imagine why we don't drink it at any other time of the year. So the ingredients of eggnog are, and just in case you want to make it for yourself, milk, sugar, cream, whipped egg yolk, so egg yolk is the yellow of the egg, and egg white, so egg white is the white of the egg, of course. And usually, in fact almost always, we put some spirit in it. So some strong alcoholic drink like brandy, rum or whiskey to give it that extra kick. So it's a very, as I said, a very particular drink that perhaps it's not particularly healthy, I don't know, I'm guessing. But it's nice at Christmas and it kind of gets you in the Christmas spirit, quite literally. Baubles. Little spherical decorations that we only use at Christmas. Obviously they're very common to put on the Christmas tree. But yeah, as I said, we never use those at any other time of the year. Probably because they're quite ugly, really. If they're not on a tree, if they're just hanging from your wall, I don't think they would look so good. But the interesting thing about the word bauble is that it originally just meant any trinket, any little trinket. Now a trinket is a small decoration, a small decorative object. So in the past, the word bauble was used more often, I guess, because it just meant any trinket, any decorative trinket. But now it's very specific to those spherical objects we put on trees. And the next word is manger. Manger. Now this is a word that I've never heard outside of Christmas. In fact, really, it's just used in Christmas songs and the Christmas story of Jesus, of where he was born, because manger means a trough where cows and horses eat from. So a long trough, so a long container for food for the cows and horses to eat from. But it's used at Christmas because Jesus slept in a manger, not a crib or a cradle like other babies. Poor Jesus had to sleep in a manger. But as I said, we don't even use manger now in modern English for the trough for cows and horses. We use the word trough. So it's only really used in the story of Jesus and some songs.
Away in a manger, no crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus laid down his sweet head.
Now this next word, yes, it's a Christmassy word, but technically we can and do use it at other times of the year, but not so much. Really, it's a very Christmassy word, and it's Eve. Eve. Now, of course, we use Eve for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So the day before Christmas and the day before New Year's Day. So Eve obviously means the day before something. So we can use it in other situations, like on the eve of any big event, on the eve of the Olympics, on the eve of the wedding, or the eve of a war, for example. But it's used in quite a formal sense, in quite a dramatic sense, except at Christmas, when we just talk about Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So we would never say, for example, Sunday is the eve of Monday, or it's the eve of my exam. You can say it, technically it's correct, but it's not suitable. You don't use Eve in that sense. That's a bit too dramatic and too exaggerated. And the last word for you is Bucks Fizz. Bucks Fizz. Bucks Fizz is an alcoholic drink that, again, we only really drink at Christmas. Actually, it's very similar to another drink which is very popular now, which is mimosa, or mimosa, which is orange juice and champagne. Or it could be just any sparkling wine or cava or something, but technically it should be champagne. But in England we call it Bucks Fizz, and I remember when I was young, not too young, but when I was younger, that was the one alcoholic drink I was allowed, just one Bucks Fizz. Mostly orange, very little champagne. And it makes Christmas a little bit more special to be able to have this alcoholic drink, sometimes even in the morning, but only on Christmas Day. It's not good to drink in the mornings at any other time of the year. As I said, we do very strange things at Christmas, don't we? So do you have any strange and weird words that you only use at Christmas in your language? Share them in the comments, because that would be interesting. And maybe you know some other English words that I haven't mentioned here that we only use at Christmas. But let me take this opportunity to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm going to make another video before the end of the year anyway, but just in case you don't see that, I hope 2021 was a good year for you and 2022 will be even better.